So good evening, everybody. Welcome to another HS2 seminar. My name is Patrick Tapia. I'm the VP for Counseling for HS2 Academy. And so tonight we have a real treat for everybody. We have a special guest. So we have Dr. Julia Lee, who graduated from, I believe, Northwestern's Feinberg School of Medicine. And she, of course, is a practicing physician, as you can see here, from Bella Mia Plastic Surgery. Now, Dr. Lee is also definitely one of the key things that we would like her input on is she's also served as, I think you still do, right, as a current MIT interviewer,
Yes, I
right?
do.
And so this is going to be especially helpful if you have children or if you're a current student who happens to be thinking of applying to MIT, right? So I'm sure the insights that you would get talking to someone who's actually conducting interviews with MIT will be especially helpful. So before I hand it over to Dr. Julia, once again, for those of you who are joining us later, if you can kindly put any questions that you have for Dr. Julia at the or in the Q&A box, we would really appreciate it. So that way we can get to the order of the questions as we receive them. At the end, we will have ample time for Q&A. If you have specific questions about the presentation you saw and you would like to ask Dr. Julia some questions, please go ahead and put it in there. If you have general questions as well about college admissions, or if you would like to know a little bit about my experiences, having been a former Harvard interviewer, I could happily answer your questions as well. Okay, so with that, I'd like to hand the floor over to Dr. Julia Lee. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for the warm welcome. Thanks for allowing me to share some tidbits about applying to college and perhaps even medical school and beyond. As Patrick said, yes, I am Dr. Julia Lee. Here's just a little bit of a background of where I came from. Um, so I went to high school in Northern California. It was a small high school, but it was definitely very academic oriented. I took several advanced placement courses while I was in high school, which actually served a great advantage to me in hindsight, because when I did go to college, I actually was able to go in with sophomore standing. So as Patrick mentioned, I did graduate from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And even while there, I did know that I wanted to focus on medicine as my eventual career. So I did go in as a pre-med student, and I majored in chemistry and graduated with a BS in chemistry. I applied to med school and went straight into medical school right after college, and did my medical school education in Chicago at the Feinberg School of Medicine. Um, After graduating from medical school, I actually then pursued a surgery residency. I did my internship at UCLA and then went all the way over to Hawaii to do the general surgery training. After which I did my fellowship for plastic surgery back in Chicago at Loyola University. Um, I'm currently in private practice at Bella Mia Plastic Surgery, and I've been doing MIT interviews for the undergraduate students or the high school students hoping to matriculate into college. And I've been doing that for 10 years now. So I just wanted to share some tidbits that I've picked up along the way in my last, decade of interviewing students. And so I just thought I'd just give you guys all just a few pointers, and it starts with the pre-interview process. So usually students will be, around just about this time, you're going to be starting to apply to schools. And so I would say your most important skill is organization. You want to make sure you have all your deadlines and applications and essays, all your things that you need to do. You want to make sure you make lists and make sure that you keep a checkbox or however you want to stay organized, but that's very important. And then after that, your interviewer who's assigned to you will reach out to you. They'll call you or they'll email you. So, sometimes I know in this day and age, you don't want to answer phone calls that are from unknown numbers. But, around this time, you might just want to pay special attention because it gets rather frustrating as an interviewer when you're trying to find these students and, you call, you email, and they just don't respond to you. Because even though that's not held against you, sometimes, with the whole total picture, it just, starts off with a slightly negative impression. So then, the two of you set up a time, a mutually agreeable time. Usually it's in a public setting. And nowadays, there are also a lot of interviews that are done over Zoom or virtually. Um, but no matter, if you do it online, virtually, in person, make sure you're just a little respectful of the person who's taking the time to interview you. Be presentable. You don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to be completely formal, but make sure you're not showing up in torn jeans or shorts. You want to create a good impression. You want to let the interviewer know that you're serious about going to college. You want to get in. You want to, um, basically appear professional. And even though nowadays things might be a little bit more laid back, believe me, appearance matters. And then above all, be on time. If you are assigned to meet at a place where you're not familiar with, maybe in addition to Google mapping it, you might want to do a trial run, an hour before, the day before. You want to make sure you know exactly where you're supposed to meet. And then, plan accordingly. Don't be late. Don't have your interviewer waiting for you. And then along with the preparation, know at least something about the school you're applying to. I know nowadays it's very easy to look at your application list and just check a whole bunch of boxes of which schools you want to apply to, and they all seem kind of the same. They're all very challenging. They're all very elite, and it's very easy just to check all the boxes. And then once it comes to going to the actual interview, might be caught a little off guard when the interview asks you, why are you applying to this school? And, you come up with, just a very generic answer. And so, it doesn't take too long nowadays to Google search the school that you're applying to, even things like, where the school's located. For students applying from California, going all the way to Massachusetts, where MIT is, it's a long ways. Know about the geography, know, just a little bit of something, because it just gives you it makes you look like you're serious and you're really interested in going to the school. Again, as with the second bullet point, why are you interested in the college that you're applying to? Is it because they're a really strong, let's say, for instance, liberal arts college? Are they really strong in the sciences, in technology, in sports? What is it about the school that interests you? And just relay that. That's what people want to hear. At the interview, it's natural to be nervous, but try to be yourself. Your interviewer should try to, make you comfortable. And, because we just want to hear about yourself. We want to hear about what you're interested in, what you have to share. So even though it might be intimidating, make sure you keep eye contact with your interviewer. Don't be looking around the room, even if there's something really interesting, behind you or around you. Maybe you've never been in that location before, but try to keep engaged. And it goes without saying, turn off your phone. Don't even, make it go on vibrate, because your phone's going to be vibrating. You're going to be tempted to check it. Just turn it off, put it in your backpack, put it in your purse. Don't even think about it for the half hour or hour or so that you're at the interview. The next point is don't fidget. Don't be showing your nervousness. Whatever you have to do, maybe you want to practice, have maybe your mom or your dad or your friend give you like a mock interview so that you can practice. And then most importantly though is, be engaged. This interview is for you. Your interviewer is not paid to do this. They're volunteering their time. Make sure that you present yourself as a student who really wants to, go to this school, and it's not something that, your parents made you do, or, something that, your teacher wants you to do. If this is something that you really want, make sure that, you look like you're really interested and you're really engaged. Um, so usually, this interview is not to rehash your academic talents. It's not to talk about your GPA or your the classes that you're taking or the schools that you're applying to. This interview is to find out more about you as a person. We as interviewers want to know about yeah, things that you find interesting, things that you're passionate about, things that don't come across on the interview. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me, on the application. On the application, you have, your scores are on there, all your letters of recommendations are on there. We want to hear more about things that you do outside of school. Are you participating in any clubs? Are you interested in any sports, or do you play any musical instruments? Do is there something interesting about your family life? Do you have, let's say, a 2-year-old sister that you have to babysit? That is all stuff that we find interesting, that, might affect, the decisions that you make, according to which classes you take, or, how much time you can dedicate to things like community service. Tell us what you think might set you apart from the rest of the crowd. Um, and then, the interview should flow pretty nicely. If you feel like you're struggling to talk about something, don't worry about it. We understand that for most of you guys, this is the first time that you're, doing a formal interview. So most of the time it takes about 30 minutes to an hour. And then the interviewer usually will ask you if you have any other questions. I find it useful if you know a little bit about the school, or again, the location it's in. Some students like to ask about financial aid. Those are all good questions, and they all show that, you've been thinking about the school, you're thinking about how to get into college, how are you going to pay for it, how are you going to get there, things like that. And then, once the interview concludes, obviously it goes without saying, thank the interviewer for their time. It's nice to follow up with a thank you email so that, you stay fresh in their minds. And then my last bit of advice is, after you do your interview, don't forget to finish your application. I've had some students where, I thought they were great candidates. And then I'm going to, write my evaluation for them. And I noticed that they don't submit their application, or they don't finish it. And, to me, that's just kind of interesting. You go through all this trouble, and then, you forget to submit it, or, you fail to submit it, or, you submit it late. Those are all things that, should, unless you, were scared off from the interview or something like that, you should, definitely complete your application on time. And with that, I